Now taking the floor, Team Canada. Flag bearer, Kristen Morgan. Number 23, Captain Ethan Wolf. Number 1, Chris Walker. Number 4, Ross McDonald. Number 5, Gabriel Morgan. Number 6, Thomas McQueen. Number 7, David Kerrigan. Number 12, Colin Shreve. Number 17, Ty Shreve. Number 18, Ian Chambers. Number 67, Clement Cooper. Number 70, Dylan Swoboda. Number 85, Thomas Lancaster. Number 87, Arlo Telde. Number 92, Nate Bex. Number 96, Jake Spinel. Number 97, Laurent Rantanini. Head coach, Peter Walling. And now, please welcome to the floor, Team USA. Flag bearer, Oscar Leander. Number 15, Captain Oliver Barrett. Number 2, Eric Chen. Number 7, Matthew Bertrand. Number 10, Liam Letterman. Number 11, Olivier Swatsky. Number 12, Ogden Grbala. Number 16, Adrian Zawatsky. Number 18, Igor Ferry. Number 19, Nathaniel Moshine.
You did great this weekend. Oh, as well as you know that. You did great.
Number 22,
I'm glad you're not on solid because it sounds like your voice is gone.
Number 25, Caleb Ginger. Number 29, Tommy Barrett. Number 34, Lauren Engel. Number 37, Carl Sapogi. Number 39, Owen Mellinger. Number 72, Conrad Blum. Number 88, Nudu Addington. Number 91, Harrison Tan. Number 92, Gavin Stone. Number 95, Maxwell Tribon. Head coach, Eric Moser. Sleek and Chavez.
We welcome everyone to Blackhawks Ice Center and USG Arena after the rousing rendition of both national anthems by Sleek and Chavez. Those were the best renditions of the national anthems I've heard in quite some time. This is the U19 America's Qualifier Game 3 between the United States and Canada. Canada won the first two games, so they have clinched a berth at the IFF World Championships for U19 men's floorball in Riga, Latvia. But there is still pride on the line, national pride in particular for both clubs. Canada wants to go home 3-0 in this three-game series. Meanwhile, the Americans want to get their first win, and what would be their first win in 4 years against the Canadians on the board. Let's give you your starting lineups, and we begin with the road team, or the visitors on the scoreboard, the Canadians. Arlo Kelde will be starting up front along with his center Betts, and Ethan Wolf, the captain for the Canadians, will be starting on the right wing side. Jake Speidel, who scored in the first game of this series and also scored again last night, will be starting at left defense, and Svoboda will be starting on right defense for the Canadians, who have Chris Walker in net. Walker putting up an .825 save percentage over the first two games of this qualifier. And for the uninitiated in floorball, you're usually looking for around .667 or 2 out of every 3 shots to be stopped. So he has been splendid over the first two games of this series. for the Americans. Their starting lineup looks like this. It'll be Carl Golgi on the left wing side, Gavin Stone at center, and Bogdan Darbala on the right wing side. Matthew Bertrand steps up to right defense on the first line. He started the series in the third line, moved to second line last night, and his play has warranted an elevation to the first line for this third game. Max Tribaum will be on the left side, and Caleb Winder gets the start in net for the Americans. Winder put up in the first game of the series a .750 save percentage. Really held the team in it for the first 30 minutes. I think you could argue even the first 40 minutes before the Canadians started to pull away. Game 1 was 9-5 Canada, played on Friday, June 19th. Game 2, 11-2 Canada, played on June 20th. And the Sunday matinee game featuring the two teams as the result yet to be decided. Both teams likely to play some more developmental players, with this game not necessarily being meaningful as far as who goes to the World Championships, but meaningful in terms of development for the two teams and for the Americans in particular, knowing that another qualifier will come just 1 year from now instead of the traditional 2-year IFF cycle. They are looking to build some positive momentum up. Matthew Bertrand behind the net, fields to Max Tribaum as the Americans win the opening draw and start out on offense. Svet Golgi through center. Navigates to Stone. Stone waving at a loose ball, but it's taken by Dylan Svoboda. Svoboda's got a cannon of a shot, scored in game 1, but realistically his biggest contributions for Team Canada have been defensively. Kelde forces the turnover, and he'll slip through center and score. What a shot by Arlo Kelde. He went back against the grain on Caleb Winder, and in the first 35 seconds, Canada out to a 1-0 lead. Kelde with a total now of 7 points in the qualifier, which leads all Canadians. He also leads all Canadians in penalty minutes after getting a 2 and a 10 late in yesterday's game. So that score 1-0, and that's a difficult save for a goalie to make back across the grain, top shelf. Winder didn't really have much of a chance at it. And now we get this new line put together for the Americans with Olivier Sawatsky and Adrian Sawatsky out there, along with Ollie Parent. Olivier Sawatsky was elevated after being a part of essentially the practice squad before tonight's game. Parent had been on a line with Eric Chen, but now has the two twins on his line, and Sawatsky looking for number 2 Sawatsky, or Adrian Sawatsky. That pass deflected away by the Canadians. Badaini takes a shot, and that's blocked down by Maureen Engel. Engel, interesting story about him. He brought one stick over. That stick got broken, so he ended up playing most of game 2 with a borrowed stick, and bought a stick yesterday about an hour or two before the game. I asked him how that stick fared in yesterday's game, and he said it took some getting used to, especially as far as passing was concerned, but he said he feels like it'll be okay for tonight's game. Those were his words, okay for the game at least. Foss McDonald taking his first shift for the Canadians as they put their third line out against the American third defensive pair. They still have the second forward trio out there, do the Americans. And the ball to the far point, and I believe that is Thomas Lancaster. It is indeed Thomas Lancaster. Puts it off a leg and out. It'll go back to the Canadians on the free hit, and now the Americans will get the change. Eric Chen is on this third line as the experienced player. He's played center, but now is on the wing on this line, along with Iggy Ferry and Nunu Addington. Addington sweeps it to Chen in the slot. That shot deflected high and wide by the Canadians. Ferry does battle in the corner. Tribaum keeps it in the offensive end, but just for a moment before Eamon Kerrigan turned it over for Canada. But Nunu Addington gets back and manages the defensive steal. Fields up to Bertrand. Bertrand, hard pass to Addington, goes between his legs. Here's Lancaster in the corner working against Addington. Addington falls, but Lancaster's pass towards center pitch was stolen away by Bertrand. Bertrand goes into the corner, turns around against the forechecking Canadian. That's Cohen Shreve on that far side. and ends up getting a call against Shreve. It'll be a free hit to the Americans. Cohen Shreve got a goal in last night's game, and it was really the goal that turned the tide for the Canadians. It was 1-1 at that point, and Shreve put a shot through traffic. It made it past the first layer of defense, took a light deflection on the way in, and ended up in the back of the net. And that unexpected goal was the first of 10 more in the game for Canada as they turned a 1-1 game in the middle of the second period to an 11-2 victory. Saved by Winder in that sequence. And the first line out there for the U.S. squad as it turned over by Svoboda. Svoboda down the right side. Wolf behind the cage. Back to Svoboda. They exchange positions. Svoboda looks in front. No one there. Solid defense by those in blue. And the Americans are this game wearing blue with red sleeves. The Canadians wearing their red jerseys. The shot from Betts kicked out by Winder. His second save of the game. Wolf's pass up the boards. Svoboda navigates through traffic and scores. Once again, had time after getting past Max Tribaum to get into the slot area. And when you are on an in-sweeper in floorball, as Svoboda was from the right side of the pitch to the middle, going back to the right side, that's such a tough read for the goalie because they are pushing off and pushing over. So back against the grain over the left hand of Caleb Winder, and it's now 2-0, Canada, as Svoboda has his second goal of the series. We talked off of the opening draw about the type of shot he's got, and he showed it off in that sequence. Badaini got an elbow up high on Ollie Parent, who wanted a call, won't get it. Badaini to Bordage, across pitch. It's taken by McDonald. McDonald centering feed, stolen away by Adrian Sawatsky. Parent tripped up by the back-checking Canadian wing, Ian Chambers, and it'll be a free hit to the Americans. Parent sweeps it to Olivier Sawatsky. Angle underneath the Parent. And now Adrian Sawatsky puts the shot on cage. It's handled by Chris Walker. It's the first save he's had to make this game. First shot for Team USA. Huther along the near boards. Clement Huther had an excellent first game, goal and an assist in that one. Looked over by Engel. Back to the point. Chambers pass over to Bordage, and a great read by Caleb Winder. Even better rebound control as he grabs the loose ball and gives a possession to the U.S. team, but a sloppy change on their bench results in a turnover, and now Chambers along the far corner. I don't know that Tommy Merritt, who came on defensively, knew that the team was changing, and honestly, you don't expect Tommy to know because in that situation, the U.S. was still under pressure from the Canadians' forecheck. So Merritt, Johnny on the spot, able to pop out over the boards and get in his defensive position. They're able to reset. Third line for Team Canada. McDonald behind the cage to Cohen Shreve, one of two Shreves on the pitch currently. Nunu Addington. The pass through center. Ferry bodies up Ty Shreve. No advantage played. They'll say that was fair play. Shoulder-to-shoulder contact allowed in floorball. This ball tips off of the stick of Eamon Kerrigan and out. Possession to Team USA. Liam Letterman will trigger in. Letterman, an interesting story we talked about in the broadcast earlier this week. Monica Letterman being the team trainer, Monica being Liam's mom, but his brother Caleb also played for the U19 squad on 2 cycles in Frederikshavn, Denmark. Worlds a couple of years ago, 4 years ago actually now, and then also in Fredericton in 2024 for the qualifier against Canada. Canada will take possession in their own end after a Walker save following a Ferry shot. Ferry looking for his first point of the qualifier, but he's played well in centering this third line. The third line has been the energy line for the Americans and honestly has been the line that's generated the lion's share of the offense, or at least lion's share of the good offensive looks through the first 2 games. Nunu Addington rips a shot and scores off a Canadian turnover. His third goal of the qualifier cuts the lead in half. It's Canada 2, US 1. And I'm not sure Chris Walker was reading shot Addington had it on the far wing, had some time, and he can score from anywhere on the floor. This is a kid that's grown up with a floorball stick in his hand and manages his third goal in as many games. He was the player of the game in game 1 for Team USA. And once again, it is the third line getting the job done for the Americans. Bertrand off of the U.S. face-off win. Lost it for a moment, and now they'll give a free hit to Kelday of Canada after a stick infraction from Bertrand. Wolf to put it in, the far dot. Inside look to Nate Betts. Squeezed off of his stick into the near corner. Kelday spins against the defensive try-bomb. Here's Wolf back to the point. The Canadians reset through the possession of Jake Speidel. Exchanging with Svoboda. Speidel looks towards the cage. Wanted to just put it there in the direction of Kelday. Kelday able to race down the loose ball. Centering feed goes through everyone. Comes up to the point. That shot blocked down by Bertrand. Try-bomb goes to the boards looking for some semblance of free space. The Canadians give him no quarter, though, and they force the turnover. Here's Wolf's shot, and that's blocked by Max Try-bomb. Durbala in traffic, lost it to Kelday. Kelday's shot kicked aside by Caleb Winder. A good reactionary save by Winder, who had to expect the shot in that circumstance following the quick American turnover. Second line on for both teams, and it's the second line for Canada. We talked about the third line for the Americans doing damage in the first 2 games, and now early on in this one, the second line for Canada has been their most effective line offensively. Chambers shot through traffic, knocked down by Parent, fields it to Adrian Sawatsky, who scores! The turnover forced by Ollie Parent finds Adrian Sawatsky, and this line with the 2 twins and the captain comes through with the second American goal of the game. For Ollie Parent, that is his second assist of the series, and for Adrian Sawatsky, that is his second goal of the series after scoring goal number 2 for the USA in Friday's game. We are even now at 2. That goal against the run of play in transition. The Canadians had the better of possession for the prior shift and a half, but not getting a point shot through can be fatal in this sport because it is so easy to transition in the other direction. Coaches talk about getting point shots through the first layer of traffic just to cause chaos in the second layer. Addington takes a turnover and whisks it wide of the net. Ty Shreve comes up with the loose ball. Eamon Kerrigan to the far side, and it's another Shreve who had it for a moment. Iggy Ferry jumps up to knock the ball down. It'll be a free hit to the Canadians. The Canadians want to take it quickly. The Americans have got to watch out because here you've got to maintain a 3-meter distance. So the Americans will back up. The official does a great job of making sure that they didn't take a needless penalty and effectively informing them of where they were on the floor. The free hit off the post for Canada. And this third line back at work for those in red. Backdoor pass from McDonald, poked away by Chen. Chen looking up the floor, tried to navigate around his defender on the near side. That's Lancaster, who forces the turnover. And back to Shreve. His shot knocked down by Winder. And Foss McDonald, was in the goaltender area. And that is not allowed in floorball. So you've got the goaltender crease, which is technically the outer area that's painted on the floor with tape. And then you've got the goalkeeper area, which is the inner rectangle, and players not allowed through there if they are attempting to play the ball. That's exactly what Foss McDonald was guilty of, and thus the American free hit. Although they turn it over off the free hit. Line 1 versus line 1. Betts up top. Svoboda winds, fires through traffic, save Winder, and another save on the rebound, and picks it up off of the stick of Kelday and forces Kelday off, who came away with a smile. Kelday has done yeoman's work in front of the opposition's cage for Canada through the first 3 games of this series, and that's continued with Winder shutting the door on that particular occasion. Durbala spins through traffic, pops the ball up in the air, kicked down by Betts. That is perfectly legal now. They used to not allow double kicks in floorball, but now you could basically just soccer the ball down the floor if so you desired. But the foot is an effective tool, especially defensively when you're attempting to clear rebounds or box out opposing players. Dummeldinger on defensively for the Americans, takes this loose ball, tries to push up through the center of the Canadian defense, now does, spins, looks into the middle, trying to find Parent. It's taken away by the Canadians. Dummeldinger gets back quickly defensively, as does his partner Marian Engel, and Adrian Swatsky loses it as he went through center. A scatter shot circumstance for both of these two teams in the middle of the floor as there's been turnover after turnover. Both teams looking for transition opportunities. Tommy McQueen behind the cage. Olivier Swatsky poke checks him. Dummeldinger has behind the net. Dummeldinger kicks it to himself, and now he's away. 3-on-3 for the Americans. Parent trying to slow things down. Had the ball knocked away from him, and now Parent will indeed slow things down. Dummeldinger will come to a bench for a change. You know, Dummeldinger's work rate is very high, and that's one of the reasons why he was elevated in the lineup yesterday, and one of the reasons why he'll see a regular shift in all likelihood in today's game. Adrian Swatsky's shot was blocked, and the Canadians turn it over. Huther gave it to Parent. Parent, a head fake along the far side, working against two Canadians. It's turned over there, but then turned right back by Tommy Merritt. Good gap control by Merritt as he stepped up to force the turnover. Puts it in the corner for Ferry. Ferry attempting to feed it to Parent behind the net. It goes out, last touched by a U.S. stick. So it's Team Canada that'll inbound from their own end. Foss McDonald jogs down in front of the cage for Team Canada. Lancaster near side, Shreve. This is Ty Shreve. Finds Cohen Shreve. Dropped it off for a moment. It's off a foot. Bounces around. Merritt able to clear. Puts it into the corner for Chen. Chen, backhand pass waved on, but Chen gets it back. Fires a shot, and that just missed over the right shoulder of Chris Walker. Chen staying with the play after waving at the initial pass. Able to knock it down, sweep it into the slot area, and now a turnover for the Canadians. In floorball, when you hit the ball in, when you have a free hit, it has to be a sharp contact. It cannot be a sweep in. Chen attempts the sharp angle shot. Walker had it for the Canadians for a moment. Now Ferry turns it over. Lancaster turns it right back. Now Addington takes it away from him. Unstable possession, I think it would be fair to say, through the first 12 minutes or so of this game. There hasn't been a lot of even buildup of play. Most of the offensive opportunities have come off of turnovers and in transition or on the counterattacks. Chen on the forecheck knocks down that pass attempt from Betts, who gets it back, feeds to Kelde, gave it right to Bertrand off of the bench. Bertrand backhands an attempt towards the cage. I think he was looking for a tip, but Chris Walker gobbles it up. And now a cross-court pass from Kelde to Wolf. That's just knocked wide on the backhand by Wolf. Resetting is Svoboda. Calming it down is Speidel. Speidel off of the leg of Svetgolji. And the shot coming from Stone is easily handled by Walker. Push to the corner. Stone, and now a push called against the Canadians. Free hit for the U.S. first line. Svetgolji. The shot is knocked down by Walker, who's been busier over the last 5 minutes or so than he was in the first 5 minutes of the game. 2-2, the Americans tied up with the Canadians. The Canadians leading this series 2-0. They have already clinched a berth in the 2017 U19 Men's World Floorball Championships. Winder comes up with another save on Arlo Kelde, and Tribom looks for the outlet to Svetgolji. It's handled once again by the Canadian defense. In on the forecheck, Durbala forcing a whistle, and the Canadians will get a free hit in the far corner. As I mentioned, Team Canada the 2-0 lead in this series. Want to give congratulations to Peter Wallen, his first cycle with the U19s, punching their ticket to Worlds. but also GM Jen McKay, who's done a lot of great work to assemble this roster, make sure everyone's where they're supposed to be on time. And she's waiting a little less anxiously on the bench than she certainly was watching the last couple of games. McDonald spun into the heart of the American defense, looking for Bordage on the near side. Bordage gets the loose ball. Back it comes to McDonald. Quick shot from the point. That's off the crossbar from Tommy McQueen. McQueen, the Canadian player of the game Friday night. Bataini sets up to the near wing. Marin Engel steals the pass, but Adrian Swatsky couldn't control. Bataini back through the middle third of the floor. Huther sweeps in, finds Bordage. His shot knocked down by the leg of Engel, and here's Dummeldinger. Dummeldinger from his defensive position fires a shot, attempts a backhand as he was tripped up, lost his footing, and now the Canadians right back at it with McQueen, and he shoots it high and wide. Dummeldinger's been good so far at activating from his defensive position, and honestly has helped to push play a little bit for this American second line, which had struggled over the first two nights of this series. Ferry has the ball batted away by McDonald. McDonald, however, couldn't control in front of the American net. It's lost once again in the middle third by the U.S. Voss McDonald settles it, looks against Chen. Now plays up top to Shreve. Chen knocks it down. Addington finds Chen. Breakaway. Save made by Chris Walker, who stayed with it as Chen deked to his right, Walker's left. Walker elevated a paw on it and was able to make the save. Merritt now trying to clear for the Americans. Finds Chen, who pops it off of the torso of Ty Shreve and out. Americans will have the opportunity to change. Canadians will leave their third line out against the American first line. Tribom taps it in. Bertrand, the Chicago resident. The team met for dinner on Thursday night, very close to where Bertrand lives in Chicago. He was pointing out his house from where the players exited off of the train on Thursday night. Shot deflected out. It'll be Canadian ball on the far dot in their offensive end. U.S. leading the unofficial shot tally 8-6. Ball fed in from Wolf. Shot attempt by Betts, snuffed out immediately. Kelday allowed to just walk out and fire one, but it's into the midsection of Winder. Shuts down the chance for Canada. Canadians regroup. Of the lines and line matchups in this game to this point, the Canadian first line seems to have had the most sustained possession, has been able to set up the most offensively. This shot once again knocked down by Winder's chest. Kelday again on the shot attempt. And don't have the official stats in front of me, but he's probably got 5 or 6 of those, it seems like, to this point. Dangerous turnover for USA, but they're able to just pop it back to center where Svoboda regroups against the hounding defense of Ollie Parent. Betts exchanges with Wolf. Wolf behind the cage. Kelday from the far corner pivots against Bertrand. Looks in front, had Betts, but Betts couldn't handle it. Now Parent bats it past his defender. Parent tried to sweep it into the middle for Olivier Sawatsky. Now has to play defense on that far wing and has successfully knocked the ball out. It'll be a Canadian free hit, but they'll do so from their defensive end. Canada in no particular hurry. 3:40 remaining in the first period, and after a spate of goals to start the first, we haven't had one in about 10 minutes of playing time. Parent steals it away. 3-on-2 for the Americans if they hurry. Parent backhand attempt. It's off the cage and out. Did not touch the goalkeeper Walker. All 4 goals scored in the first 7:30 of the first period. And for about the last 10, we have been scoreless on the board. Pass attempt knocked out by Marine Engel, and specifically by his borrowed stick. And the Canadians will tap it in. Bordage works one-on-one against Merritt, finds Huther behind the net. Huther exchanges with McDonald, back to Bordage, near side. And a wrap attempt. Wow, Engel knocked that out of midair, and I don't know if the viewers at home know just how much hand-eye coordination that took for Marine Engel, who just took the ball off of the stick of Huther and said, not today. It's very tough to quell those Zorro attempts from behind the net. But that time Engel did just that. Shot gets through Engel from McQueen, stopped by Winder. Engel bats it off a Canadian player, off the boards, and as he was navigating towards the middle third of this Gerflor, whistle and an earlier infraction as the official was letting Engel play advantage, so they'll bring it back equal to the cage of Winder. Fed it forward for Ferry, lost it off of his stick. Now Merritt loses it off of his in turn. Cohen Shreve takes the shot. It's blocked out of bounds by Engel once again. Locked up and over the boards. Off of the free hit for Canada. Off the shoe of Merritt. And it'll be another hit in for Canada at the far dot. Cohen Shreve to McDonald. McDonald from the near corner. Watched over by Merritt. McDonald tried to center it. It's off of the bar. Engel chases him to the corner. Nunu Addington pinches in there, is able to pull the ball away for just a moment, but Lancaster now controls the bouncing floor ball. Back to Cohen Shreve. His shot deflected down by Engel. That's his fourth block on this shift, and he finally gets a change for Liam Letterman. Ferry in the offensive end, he'll be pushed, and the official will say, hey, that's maybe a little bit too aggressive from Ty Shreve. So the Americans will regroup through a free hit. Ferry loses it. It's Shreve recovering behind the cage. Ferry puts it off of the body of a Canadian player. That's Kerrigan. And out, but they'll say when it went out, it was last touched by Iggy Ferry, so Canadian free hit at center. Unable to set up anything offensively, Svet Volji. Shot towards the net, blocked down. The Canadians looking for a transition, but Addington able to collapse on his player from behind. Addington, a couple of nice moves. Nunu Addington, the first goal scorer for the Americans in this afternoon's contest, puts it off of the stick of Ethan Wolf and out of play. They'll get a full change in, will the USA. The first line out, Durbala, fans on the shot. Now the first line for the Canadians attempting to counter. Svoboda shot fake up top. Exchanges with his defensive partner Jake Speidel. And Svoboda eventually puts a shot out off an American stick. And Speidel will watch as Ethan Wolf scores on the free hit from Svoboda. Wolf known more as a distributor, but he's got a shot as he showed there. It's in the top corner of the net, just over the left shoulder of Caleb Winder. And it's now a 3-2 Canadian lead. The Americans' defense had tightened up, especially in the middle of the floor, over, let's say the last 15 minutes of playing time. But on that occasion, Wolf allowed to slip inside, had some time to sweep a shot past the shoulder of Winder. Not much he could do about it. It was a hard, fast shot right to the top portion of the net, and it's now 3-2 Canada. 48 seconds remaining in the first period. The Americans will try to draw back even. This is the most offensive first period of this series so far. Each of the prior two first periods ended with the score of 1-1. McQueen, cross-pitch pass, looking for the wrap. Underneath the net is Huther. Badaini gets it back. but Sawatsky knocks it away from him. Here's Dummeldinger, gets tied up with Badaini, takes it from Badaini, but they'll say he just got in a little bit heavy. He got tied up with Badaini, and Badaini took the fall. Dummeldinger will run back defensively. Dummeldinger, one of the more muscular American players, certainly. And so you like his odds going toe-to-toe in a board battle, but sometimes it does result with the other player on the floor. Now Dummeldinger will push it up the boards, but Badaini there to cut it off. Takes a shot, and that's off a post at the buzzer. Canada 3, the United States 2. We've reached the conclusion of 20 minutes of play in Game 3 of this U19 qualifier. We'll be back after this 3-minute timeout. You're watching U19 World Floorball Championships qualifiers from Chicago. We welcome everyone back for the second period of this qualifier game, Men's U19 World Floorball Championships, America's qualifier. Canada leads the series 2-0, and right now they lead tonight's game, or this afternoon's game, 3-2. Trent Kling with you here as the Canadians begin the second period with possession. Again, line matchup, line 1 versus line 1, and Eric Chen steps back to the first line for the United States to start this period. Quick update, the Americans making a change in goal. This was a planned change in goal as Harrison Tan steps in for Caleb Winder. It was always planned that the goalies were going to split the game this evening, with it being essentially a development game and the decision of the series already having been put into the books, with Canada winning the first 2 games of this best of 3. It's Chambers up top. The Canadians got a quick change in, so line number 2 out against also line number 2 for the Americans, Olivier Swatsky. This is his first game in the 3-game series as he's in uniform tonight. Was a reserve player the last 2 nights, but was elevated after a solid showing both in practice this week and in U.S. Nationals, like the Adult Nationals tournament that is here in Chicago during this particular week, and the week of the Chicago Floorball Festival, as they call it. Tan is in the game with his first save on a shot from Chambers, and now this outlet to Perrin, who scores! What a pass from Adrian Sawatsky. Those two combine on their second goal of the game, and it's tied at 3. Ollie Parent with his 4th point of this series. He's tied with Nunu Addington for the team lead. Adrian Sawatsky with his 3rd point on the assist. Those two have found a connection. This is the first time they've been on a line together all weekend long, and that line has generated now 2 goals. The second line for Team USA had pretty much been on the wrong side of the possession ledger against the second line for Canada. A push called against Foss McDonald, so the Americans will have a free hit, especially over the first 2 games of the series. But with Parent moving to the second line and the 2 Sawatsky twins joining him, that second line has actually been quite a positive for the U.S. Liam Letterman puts a long arching pass deep for Conrad Grum, who's into the game for the first time, and that bounces over the end boards. Grum's out there with Addington and Stone on the 3rd line for the U.S. Ty Shreve down the far side. Foss McDonald turns in the near corner, or far corner, pardon me. Lancaster turns it over. Grum takes it. Addington looking for his 4th goal of the series, and he is stopped by Walker. Addington has scored 1 in each game thus far in Chicago. The Chicago resident, Cohen Shreve, takes it all the way back for Canada, gives to Ty Shreve. Plays it up the far boards. Spinning is McDonald. McDonald inside look, a nice pass from McDonald, and an even nicer shot by Kerrigan, but Tan says no with a shoulder save. Lancaster, after the Canadians settled down the bouncing rebound, took the shot. It's blocked out in front, and Stone takes the ball after Grum did battle along the boards. Stone navigating through traffic. A Canadian broke his stick. That's Ty Shreve, who has to go get a new piece of equipment after the stick break, and a free hit to the Americans. Boy, everything happening all at once pretty much over the last 30 seconds. Bertrand fakes a slap shot, plays it to Chen. The ball deflected away for a moment by Wolf, but Chen comes back, settles it down to Max Tribaum, and the Canadians call off the Dogs for a moment on the forecheck, but now come out with a stronger forecheck, bring 2 forwards underneath against Tribaum, and it's turned over. Behind the net, Kelday looks out in front. Speidel controls. Far wing, Svoboda. Now Wolf turns it over. Chen picks it up, but he is poke-checked from behind. And now the Americans regroup. Here's Parent off of the steal. Parent's shot, that is blocked in front. Nice positional block by Jake Speidel. Kelday right back to it. Kelday to Wolf. Wolf looking for a trailer, now settles it down behind the cage, but Tan grabs it before the offensive player Kelde could do so. And now here is Parent. Parent inside look, and they score! And it's Adrian Swatsky again. Those two have been on an absolute tear, but it started with the defense of Ollie Parent. Took the initial shot, doggedly pursued the loose ball, and finds Adrian Swatsky on the back door. His second of the game, his third of the series. Parent, his second assist of the contest, and the Americans have their first lead in this three-game series. In this three-game set, Huther takes the face-off. It's one back to his defensive player, but Adrian Swatsky gets there first. Centering feed to Parent, stolen away by McQueen. This shot blocked by Engel. Tavi Samala out for the first time, or for the first occasion for the Americans this game. Samala along the backboards takes it away from McQueen. But now Engel converged upon by two Canadian players. Samala turns, spins, finds Engel in the far corner, gets there before his Canadian forechecker. Adrian Swatsky gives to Olivier Swatsky. Oh, Parent, a shot through the legs. That's wide. Samala in the near corner. Here's Adrian Swatsky looking for a tip. That goes wide of the cage. And now it's off the stick of Olivier Swatsky and out. More solid work by the second line for the Americans, who have accounted for 3 of their 4 goals with 15:21 remaining in the second period. Lancaster behind the Canadians' defensive cage. Thomas Lancaster played at the 2025 version of the 3v3 and managed 5 goals and 1 assist. That was played in Winterthur, Switzerland. Both Swiss teams, men and women, ended up winning that 3v3 competition. But the Canadians had a solid showing that particular year. And their goalie, Christoph Kasha, had an excellent few games at the 3v3 as well. Dummeldinger will trigger it into Merritt. So it's Dummeldinger and Merritt, the defensive pair on this third line for the United States. Grum had the ball knocked away from him. Merritt steps up, finds Addington, gives back to Merritt, feeds back to Grum, who scores! Tommy Merritt and Conrad Grum, thick as thieves, off of the floorball floor, and they combine on a goal. An excellent job of recognition by Merritt to jump up into the play. And this third line for the Americans features 4 Chicago-based players with Grum, Addington, Merritt, and also Owen Dummeldinger on defense. This configuration of the line now has their first goal, but it's the second goal overall for the Americans' third line, and it's 5-3, the United States on top. And for Grum, that has been coming, I think, for him. He's had a couple of assists in this series, but generally speaking has been solid in terms of board play and in terms of aggression. That time went directly to the slot and was the beneficiary of an excellent pass from Tommy Merritt. Hit him right on the stick. But more than anything, the genesis of that play happened when Tommy Merritt decided to jump up offensively. Good recognition along the near side boards by the Americans that Merritt was doing so. And a good job by the center on that line, also dropping back to make sure Merritt was covered in order to make that exchange. Now the Canadians looking to answer. They're facing a deficit for the first time in this series. Both Game 1 and Game 2, there were ties, but there was never an American lead. And now the lead is 5-3 for the Americans, and they get a tip on the back door. It's Arlo Kelde. That shot was going wide, but Kelde pulled it back on cage, assisted by Speidel. And now it is 5-4. No chance whatsoever for Harrison Tan on that. If you're the goalkeeper, you're reading that as a shot that's 2 feet wide, and you're getting ready to slide to that far post. But instead, a tip off of the shaft of the stick for Arlo Kelde, his second deflection goal of this series. And they announce it as Speidel's goal, but I think they're going to correct that after a bit. You know, Canada led in shots on net through 20 minutes. 13-10 was the official tally. But the Americans have had the better of opportunities in the second period up until that goal. And now a turnover. Parent in the slot gives to the far side, looking for Adrian Sawatsky for the hat trick, and he puts it high and wide. Parent has been an issue for the Canadians, especially on his forecheck. Chambers back behind the net. Badaini takes it on through center. Huther finds Chambers. An exchange. They're trying to find Chambers once again off the stick of McQueen, but the Americans knock it down, and it comes back for the Canadian defensive corps. Chambers shot. Oh, that didn't miss by much. Might have grazed the gear of Harrison Tant. Taking it from the far side, Bordage, as it turned over by Olivier Swatsky. Adrian Swatsky, cross-court pass, is intercepted by Huther, who is poke-checked and then runs into the body of Salmela. He wanted a call, won't get it. Parent exchanges with Salmela. Salmela looking for the backhand short side. That's off the side of the cage. And then a pass behind the back on his backhand is turned over by the Canadians. He was looking for Parent in the far corner, but instead Chambers will be the one to slow things down for those in red and black. Canadians trailing by one. Badaini lifts it into the defensive end for Canada. Lancaster circles his net. Lancaster tries to navigate through a few players. Ferry cuts him off at the pass. Lancaster gets the ball back. It's deflected into the air, and now Parent runs into a player, took the ball away, tried to leave it for Ferry. Ferry had just run past the ball, trying to get onto the far side of the net. Now Ferry coming back on the back check is able to take it back from the Canadians and win a free hit. Ferry off the free hit. Here's Grum. Grum through the legs of a Canadian defender. Now Ferry gets it back. Ferry shot towards the cage, and they're going to call a stick lift that results in a Canadian free hit before Ferry could take the shot. 11:48 to play in the second period. Canadians still leading in shots on goal, but trailing on the scoreboard. Dummeldinger from his defensive end. Dummeldinger through traffic. Dummeldinger through multiple players. Dummeldinger then lost it to Betts, but he'll be the beneficiary of an illegal stick played by the Canadians as they came down on Dummeldinger's stick. And you see the benefit of the game of Owen Dummeldinger, because he is not afraid to just turn on the jets and start to navigate through traffic, and he uses all parts of his body to try and control the floor ball. Legs, stick, whatever he can use to bring the ball up through center, he'll do. A shot wide. Now Canada looking to counter, and Kelde gets tripped up by the stick of Bertrand. A shot in the high slot from Betts. That's off a stick, I believe, of Gavin Stone. And Tan grabs it off of the rear boards. To Tribom. Tribom deep play to Chen. It's lost for a moment by Walker, who is unsettled perhaps a little bit by the on-rushing Eric Chen. However, Canada able to slow it down once again. Looks like they want to play perhaps less of a transition game and more of a controlled game in this second period. And why not? It's that controlled game that's gotten them out to a 2-0 series lead. Through traffic, here is Kelde. Kelde trips and falls. The official says get up. No call there. And Chen works through his defender Chambers, but he is trimmed out by Betts, who gives back to Chambers. Exchange from Wolf, trying to go back to Chambers. Durbala takes it away. Durbala navigates through the defense of Badaini, and now Stone coming in support of his winger Durbala pops it off a Canadian stick and out. The Americans will use this opportunity to get a change. It'll be line 2 against line 2 about midway through this contest. The Sawatskis out there with Parent, and now Salmela will put it in. Touches it to Engel. Engel slowly walking up with it. Puts it into the far corner for Adrian Sawatsky. Turns against Badaini, who took it from him. Puts it into an unoccupied corner. Salmela in there first, and he's pushed from behind. That's a free hit to the Americans. Parent wants to put it in quickly. looking for Olivier Swatsky, cutting through the middle. It's stolen by the Canadians, and a great back check by Tavi Samala to head off the opportunity for Tommy McQueen. Bordage to McQueen behind the cage. Chambers back to McQueen. Ball pops in the air off of his backhand, catches it again. And now Chambers and Badaini, the two defensive players for the Canadians on this second line, will play catch. Far corner, Bordage pushed by Engel. Free hit to Canada. Behind the net, McQueen. Check that. This is Huther. Chambers. And now Bordage. Bordage lost it. Olivier Swatsky to Adrian Swatsky, looking for a volley from Ollie Parent. Good look for the Americans. Parent put it just high and wide, and those two exchange a quick high five as they go to the bench. I was talking with Ollie Parent before tonight's game about playing with the two Swatskys, and he said he's looking forward to it. And he said their vision of the floor is very, very good, and he felt like with his speed and their savvy, they would make for a formidable trio, and that's been borne out to be the case in the first little bit of this game, or really the first half of this game to this point. Ferry puts the shot wide. Nunu Addington trying to chase it down, but it is Cohen Shreve with it for Canada. Shreve into the slot area. Shreve shot, save made. Tan, rebound, save, another save by Tan, and they're going to get interference or at least a man in the box. Tan had to make a sequence of 3 saves as he was prone on the floor, but he keeps it a 1-goal American lead. Liam Letterman out to Merritt. Grum on the far boards. Merritt bypasses the onrushing McDonald, but Grum couldn't handle the pass. Now Grum knocks it down. Grum waving at the loose ball. Grum eventually, through a back check from Nunu Addington, recoups. And now the Americans settle down. 3-on-3. Ferry shot off the outside of the cage. Loose ball taken by Kerrigan. The Canadians insert it into the far boards. Liam Letterman strips his player. It's Cohen Shreve. Letterman working 1-on-2. McDonald wins it back. Lancaster up top. Sweeper coming from Ty Shreve. Blocked down by Iggy Ferry. Ferry off to the races. 3-on-2 if they hurry. Ferry lays it off. The shot from Grum. That is blocked by Lancaster. Great play by Lancaster to knock that down. And now we get a face-off to be called after 2 players got tied up behind the cage. So basically, a free hit would have been awarded to one team or the other had there just been one infraction, but dual infractions for the 2 players tied up behind the net. Derbala in on the draw against Nate Betts. It's won by the Canadians. Svoboda able to bypass the onrushing Chen. Through center, Kelde leaves it for Betts. Oh, and that didn't miss by much. Looking for the top right corner over Tan, who is taking away the short side, giving the far side. You pretty much have to give up one side of the net if you're a floorball keeper. And that time Betts looking to the far corner and missed it high and wide. Off the free hit, Americans turn it over. Canada settles. 7:30 to play in the second period. And again, the Americans, if you've just joined us, it's a 3-game series. They hadn't held a lead until this game in this period. Ball bounces awkwardly off of the rear boards. Kelde was challenged, and his shot attempt goes high and wide. But Bertrand was there to make sure he felt hurried enough to put that shot away. Engel behind the net, turned over. Kelde, but pops it out in front. Off the leg of Swatsky. Betts looks up top. The sweeping pass attempt stolen by Parent. Olivier Swatsky to Adrian Swatsky. He's beaten to the ball by Svoboda. Adrian Swatsky, good pivot defensively. Svoboda able to hold for a moment. This is Speidel. Along the near wing. McQueen into the center of the floor, and Bordage pops it off the stick of Tabi Samala and into the net. That's an unfortunate goal for the Americans, but credit Team Canada with pushing it into the middle, and Bordage went ahead, followed through with the shot despite the stick of Samala being there. Samala was in good position, but the momentum of the shot was just a little bit too much, and it deflects past Harrison Tan in net. So the score back to 5-5. USA and Canada. 6:40 remaining in the second period, but the play has been much more even to this point in the game. Ferry rushes in on Bataini. It's stolen away by Grum on the forecheck. Grum into the center. Ferry's shot knocked aside, and Addington nearly had a free open net, but the ball bounced on him. He chases it down to the corner and gives to Ferry. Ferry on his backhand on the near side. McQueen knocks it away from him. Chambers evades Addington and pitches it up the floor to Bordage. Bordage meets the heavy defense of Dummeldinger, and Dummeldinger has given the Canadians a free hit, although I would argue that that might be a good thing because Canada may have had an on-man rush on the back end of it. So there is such a thing as a good foul or a good illegal play in floorball, and that might have been one such occasion. Iggy Ferry pulls it back into his defensive end, tries to pass it along the boards. Bordage steals it, and this shot from McQueen whistles high and wide. Nice job by Huther in the high slot, disguising his pass, held on to it, and looked as though he was going to shoot before sweeping it to McQueen. As a result, Tan had to dive over to attempt to make the save. Fortunately for the Americans, or if you're a USA fan, McQueen rifled it high and wide. And now the ball controlled by the U.S. first line. Nathaniel Benheim behind the net, puts it out top to Stone. Stone along the end boards. Ty Shreve works over Max Tribaum, who appears to be playing forward on this shift for Team USA. Changing things up is Coach Derek Mosier, just trying to get a different combination. A Tribaum able to win the ball to Benheim. Benheim, it skips away from him on the boards and gives Bertrand an elevated pass that he's now got to go back and chase. Bertrand on the backhand able to evade the forechecking Canadians. Benheim through center, but knocks it off of the stick of Eamon Kerrigan, and Bertrand recovers. Chen bats it towards the net. Lancaster worked over by Benheim. Those two do battle along the rear boards. Benheim spins, turns, finds Stone. Stone along the rear boards. Here's Stone. Stone working with it. Stone turns out in front. His shot just off a stick. Chen. And now a delayed penalty against the Canadians. Won by Chen, and he knew it the minute the arm went in the air. Can't take your loose arm in floorball and grab another player, and that's what happened. So there's going to be 2 minutes for a hold against Team Canada, and it'll be Ty Shreve's first penalty of this series. And for the Canadians, that is their fourth penalty overall. Oh, dangerous play on the point for the power play. Tribaum finally has it taken away by Wolf. Wolf puts it forward, and they score shorthanded. Wolf to Betts. Tribaum attempted to get it sorted on that left wing side, but continued to work against Wolf, and then the Canadians pounced. 6-5 Canada, the first shorthanded goal of the series, and it's Wolf to Betts on the goal. Betts is fifth in the 3 games, and for Wolf, his third assist. Wolf picked up his second goal of the series earlier in this game. The Americans get possession off of the draw, and now their power play will be looking to regroup and pull back to even. Durbala to Parent. Up top, Tribaum. Durbala. He and Tribaum will play catch. Now cross pitch feed for Savatsky. Durbala to Tribaum. Here's Parent. It's a standard box play for the Canadians. 2-2 instead of playing a diamond or a 2-2-1, or a 2-1-1, pardon me. This ball into the middle from Adrian Savatsky is turned over, and Wolf He's trying to kill off some time. Now has an onrushing Svoboda. Wolf will take it himself. His shot off the leg of Durbala. Svoboda takes it in the corner for a moment. Swatsky wins it back. Pressure from the Canadians, and now the Americans can rush if they want in transition. Durbala throws it towards the net, looking for Chen. That ball deflected wide. Parent holds. And the U.S. settles things down with 40 seconds remaining on the penalty to Ty Shreve. Sawatsky up top. Tribomb. Back to Adrian Sawatsky. In sweeper coming. It's blocked down by Bordage. Tribomb to Parent. Sawatsky inside. And that shot handcuffed Walker a little bit. I don't think Sawatsky got all of it. And that's a tough save to make as a keeper when you're ready to pounce on a shot that's going much faster than what you actually get. Walker did well to stay with it. And with 20 seconds remaining on the power play, the second unit comes out for the U.S. Addington. Salmela. Back to Addington. Salmela. 5 seconds remaining in the man advantage. This ball through traffic. Stone able to pop the loose ball loose. It's Ferry. The far corner. Svet Volji takes a hit. Now Stone looking for Addington on the back door. That's snuffed out by Chris Huther. Addington, though, doing good work with Ferry to win the ball. Addington towards the cage, and Walker had to be quick to that. He makes the stop, and now in front, Salmela looking for Ferry, and a good two-pad stack save by Walker. The Canadians rush back. Nunu, though, gets back defensively, plays it forward to Ferry. He has it poke-checked away, and once again, back and forth play, and a push called against the Canadians that will finally stop things. Addington will trigger it in. The Americans were going for a change, so Addington has to play it because he stopped the ball on the spot. Now Svet Volji tries a cheeky backhand that's knocked down in front, and Salmela gives to Addington on the near boards. Salmela. Addington looks underneath. No power play here for the Americans, just prolonged possession. Addington tries to fire it high and right, and Walker instead able to knock it down with his left hand. McQueen wins the ball after the through pass, and it'll be a Canadian free hit in their offensive end. 6-5, Canada leads the USA. The U.S. led at one point in this game 5-3. The Canadians got out to an early 2-0 lead. But other than those two leads, it's been pretty much a one-goal game for the vast majority of this contest. Cohen Shreve waved at by Olivier Sawatsky and Ollie Parent. Lancaster gets it back. Cohen Shreve. It's blocked in front. Here comes Parent trying to put it through the legs of Lancaster, who is wise to it. And the Canadians insert it deep. Engel had it turned over. The attempt on the doorstep by Foss McDonald. Turned away by Tan. Now McDonald's shot ends up between the legs of Tan. He'll stop things down and play it forward to Adrian Sawatsky. Parent took a run. Sawatsky trying to find Parent, but that ball settled down and slowed down pretty quickly, so it allowed Lancaster to jump in on it. Here is Dummeldinger. Dummeldinger through traffic, gets it to Parent, and Parent is knocked down by the goaltender Walker. Walker was just standing his ground, so nothing illegal done there by Chris Walker. It was incidental contact, but if you're a goalie, you're allowed to be there. And now the U.S. will regroup. Lots of good possession for the Americans in this tip attempt. Nice pass from Grum to the doorstep, and Parent on the forecheck gets it. This shot blocked off of the stick of Dummeldinger at the buzzer. The Americans had the better of chances after the Canadian shorthanded goal, but they were unable to get one by Chris Walker to even up the game. And at the end of two periods, it's 6-5, Canada leading the United States of America here at the Blackhawks Ice Center, and more specifically, USG Arena. We're back after this break with the third period of action. This is the Men's U19 World Floorball Championships qualifier from Chicago. We welcome everyone back to Blackhawks Ice Center USG Arena. This is Game 3, Period 3, between the Canadian U19 team and the USA U19 team here at the Men's U19 World Floorball Championships qualifier in Chicago. The winner of the qualifier has already been determined. It's a best-of-3 series. Canada has won the first 2 games of this series. This game for pride, for development, but mainly, if you're an American fan, they want something positive to go into the next qualification cycle, which happens in just 1 year. Canada on top by a goal, but the Americans led 5-3 at one point in the second period before Canada struck back with 3 unanswered, and now they begin this period, with possession. Try-bomb, though, after a steal, gets it forward to Chen. That's ball knocked away by the foot of the goalkeeper, Chris Walker. Walker, so far, save percentage of an even 750. 3 out of every 4 shots he's been stopping. Wolf wanted to squeeze off the shot. Fans on it. For the Americans, they've gotten 20 shots on goal to the Canadians' 22. And of the 20 American shots, Wolf has stopped 15. The American goalies combined between Caleb Winder and Harrison Tan have stopped a total of 16 of the 22 Canadian shots. So save percentage pretty close to equal for both of these squads. And goaltending certainly has not been the difference between these teams in the first 3 games of the qualifier. Parent comes in. Oh, a nice foot save by Walker. Parent looking far side along the floor. Now coming up, Samala able to pinch from his defensive position. Took the steal for a moment, but then it was lost by the U.S., and Bordage looks to sweep it in. Ball pops off of the foot of Huther into the air. Tan grabs with a hand, and now Tan asking the official something. As the official was perhaps trying to talk to him, Tan looked a little bit confused, dumps it off behind the net anyway. Adrian Sawatsky looking for Olivier Sawatsky. Turned it over. The shot from McQueen goes wide. And Maureen Engel now feeds to Parent. There's a broken something on the floor, went skittering across. I'm not sure what part of equipment this was, and Parent goes down. And I'm not sure what went across the floor in this circumstance, but there is a penalty called, and it'll be against the Canadian U19 national team. It is Ty Shreve's second penalty of this contest. The Americans unable to capitalize on their first power play of the game. This is power play attempt number 2. Their power play operating at a 33% clip thus far in the series. Parent lost his stick as Canada will exit their defensive end, their defensive half. And Speidel loses it to Bainheim. Try-bomb, the quarterback for this U.S. power play. Bainheim across to Sawatsky. Back to Try-bomb. Here's Sawatsky underneath Chen. Exchanges with Sawatsky. Chen across. Quick feed to Try-bomb, who attempted the in-sweeper, and it was blocked aside by Betts, and now Betts gets it. Breakaway for Wolf. Wolf stopped by Tan. Uses his long legs to his advantage. Wolf tried to reach around him, but there's a lot of leg to reach around for Harrison Tan. The rangy goalkeeper makes the save and keeps it at just a 1-goal game. Canada making a bid for their second shorthanded goal in as many periods. Bainheim inside looks for Chen. That shot knocked away by Svoboda. Try-bomb resets. Sawatsky lost it. The ball bounced off of his stick. Svoboda to Wolf, who scores! Wolf had a lot of time to line up a shot and found the far corner. It's Ethan Wolf, the Canadian captain, capitalizing on their second shorthanded chance in about the last 25 seconds. And now it is 7-5 Canada on the strength of 2 shorthanded goals. The Americans' power play struggling just a little bit to get good opportunities, or at least get those good opportunities on cage. They've had a couple of shot attempts. One was blocked, one was wide during the first minute 10 of this power play. Still 45 seconds on the power play to do something. if you're a fan of the team in blue and red. But this ball snatched up by Tommy McQueen and cleared. Salmela spinning. He'll walk it up the floor himself with a little bit of urgency. Svetvolji gives to Salmela. Shot went through everyone. It might have been a pass looking for Ferry. Svetvolji takes the shot, knocks the stick of Huther out of his hand. The shot taken by Walker. And the Canadians will clear, or at least try to kill off the last 5 seconds of this penalty, and they do so with the pass to McQueen. McQueen wants to shoot. He's converged upon by Svetvolji. Gives to Huther. His shot blocked down. Good back checking by Carl Svetvolji. Badaini lost it to Harrison Tan, the goalkeeper for the U.S. He directs traffic and gives to Ferry. Ball bounces over Svetvolji's stick. Slipping down was Svoboda. No contact there. He just lost his footing on the floor. Engel looks inside. Here's Addington, waits, fires, and it's stopped by the leg of Walker. Each goaltender has a nice leg save to start this second period. Nunu Addington did an excellent job remaining calm, remaining composed, but Walker equal to the task, just elevating his foot to knock the ball down. The score remains 7-5. First game of this series ended 9-5 Canada. The second ended 11-2 Canada. This has been a much closer affair than the one a day ago. Foss McDonald earns a free hit. Plays it behind the net to Kerrigan. Kerrigan looked over by Olivier Swatsky. And this ball tipped ahead now from Salmela to Parent. His shot off of the leg of the goalkeeper, Walker. And then Walker, you can't play it back to the goalkeeper, but I think it just deflected off of the stick of Ty Shreve. Now Cohen Shreve's shot knocked down by Engel. That shot batted away by Tan. A diving save attempt on Svoboda. He's able to just tip it over the crossbar, and the Americans earn a free hit. Salmela puts it in to Engel. Engel will get a change on possession for the U.S. Stone on to Chen. Chen surveys his options, shoots, and Walker has that no issue. Plays to Svoboda, who in turn gives behind the cage to Ty Shreve. You know, the Canadians have actually benefited from Shreve's 2 penalties in this game. They have 2 shorthanded goals, have not given up a power play goal yet. Bainheim through traffic. Shreve heads him off and will play it forward to McDonald, who's content to just dump it down into the Americans' half. Grabbed by Harrison Tan. And now the Americans bring 3 back to try and beat the Canadian forecheck. Stone looks up the floor, tried to feed it along the boards for Chen, but it was out of his reach. Svoboda grabs. And now the Canadians with it. It's dished off to Kelde. Kelde's shot well wide of the cage. Racing in to grab the rebound, Speidel. Kelde looks out in front. Wolf converged upon by Bainheim. Bainheim slows things down, feeds it back to Bertrand, but it goes all the way to the foot of Tan as it was out of Bertrand's reach. Here's Bainheim. Lost it at center to Betts. Tribomb. Tribomb in the corner. Tribomb against a couple of Canadians. They wave at it. It's turned over to Betts. Betts sets up Kelde. That shot goes wide. And now Wolf pushed down by Tribomb. He'll earn a free hit, and the Canadians will want to change. Clock stops with 12:56 remaining in the third period. And Canada's, I think, fair to say, been on the front foot for the better part of this period. Even during the American power play, it looked like they were controlling things. Floorball is such a game of momentum, and Canada had the late momentum in the second period following the shorthanded goal, and they have continued on with that momentum in the third. Badaini feeds to Bordage. His shot into the torso of Harrison Tan. Grabbing the rebound is Huther, keeping it alive for Canada. Huther will recycle possession, but turns it over to the foot of Olivier Swatsky. Plays it to Adrian Swatsky. Looks ahead to Parent, but good defending by the Canadians. Both Chambers and Badaini were guessing that that ball would go forward to Parent. Badaini shot a beautiful hand save by Harrison Tan. Tan has been excellent in this third period so far. That is a difficult hand save to make, and unlike in hockey, you don't really get anything to protect your hands. You can either wear form-fitting gloves or you can go barehanded as Tan is today. Huther plays to Chambers. Chambers' shot whistles wide of the cage. Behind the net, Bordage to McDonald. McDonald up top. Badaini's shot knocked down by Tan. Rebound in front. Bordage lost it off of his stick and off of the end boards, and Tan holding the ball in the air saying, please stop hitting me with your stick. I've got it. And Angle off of the pass from Tan. Oh, crafty play by Parent, but Adrian Swatsky just a little bit behind that pass. Badaini got it taken away by Swatsky. Ferry inside looking for Parent on the back door. Instead is content to just keep possession along the end boards. Iggy Ferry out of Austin, Texas. Plays on his backhand back to the point. Tommy Merritt settles things down. Merritt has 1 assist this game. On back to Ferry. Ferry tries to chip and chase beyond Chambers, his opposite number. Chambers lost it due to the forecheck of Grum. Grum's shot, leg saved by Walker. Rebound to Addington in the corner. Addington pushed by a Canadian player, and it'll be a U.S. free hit with 10:59 to play in the third period. The U.S. still trying to climb out of a 2-goal hole. Canada had a 2-0 lead to start the game. The Americans tied it at 2-2. Canadians took a 3-2 lead. The Americans got 3 straight goals, and then the Canadians responded with 4 straight. So it has been a game of momentum swings. Good forechecking by Grum. Addington comes in, and his shot blocked, controlled by Huther in the corner. Huther gets it right back, plays it up to McDonald. McDonald has it lifted by Merritt. Grum looking for Ferry through the middle. Instead, opts to go to Addington. Hits Ferry, but Ferry couldn't handle the pass. It bounces off of his stick. And now the Canadians control. Realistically, if you're Canada, you're content to just wind down some clock if you can. This shot blocked by Liam Letterman. Stone with it. Meanwhile, for the Americans, a little bit of sense of urgency, but no need to really rush or play outside of your typical game. Goals can be scored quickly in floorball, and so a 2-goal lead by no means insurmountable with just under 10 minutes remaining in the third period. Cohen Shreve took it away from Max Tribaum, who takes it right back. Tribaum loses it against the boards. Foss McDonald in, shot against the side of the net. Tan grabs the rebound, and he'll dish it off to Bertrand in the far corner. Bertrand touches it on to Tribaum. Exchanges back to Bertrand. Bertrand to Stone. Ball bounced on Stone. Kerrigan sweeps it in to Badaini. Now McDonald. Inside look to Kerrigan. Kerrigan tried to go backdoor. Bertrand, though, equal to the task. Foss McDonald has it taken from behind, and Bainheim content to go back to Bertrand on defense. Tribaum will work it up the floor. Here's Stone. Stone has it pop high off of his stick, controls, catches, now spins into the near corner, but loses it to Wolf. Wolf wants to run with it, gets it back from Cohen Shreve. Wolf fires and scores. Dusts off his stick, Ethan Wolf. Big fan of the hockey player Erik Karlsson, and that play looked a lot like an Erik Karlsson play. Speed out of the back end, cuts through center, gets it back from Cohen Shreve, who picks up an assist on the play, and the Canadians have staked themselves out to an 8-5 lead. In many ways, this game has resembled the first game of the series, where it was pretty evenly played. It was 2-2 at the midway point of the second period. Canadians took a lead. The Americans fought back. Within the third period, the Canadians had the better of Team USA. And so far, through the first 11:30 of this third period, that's proven to be the same in this contest. Adrian Swatsky on the forecheck, turns the tables on Canada with a pass to Parent, who scores. Adrian Swatsky has done yeoman's work. He and Parent each now with 4 points, and the Canadians see their lead shrink to 2. Adrian Savatsky is one of the shorter players for Team USA, but he's got an incredibly active stick defensively, and that has been borne out through the first 2.5 periods of this one, and it's borne out on that particular play as well. The second line will stay out for the next draw against the Canadian second line, and Team Canada wins it. Badaini looks against the defensive Adrian Savatsky. The Americans bringing two a little bit higher in forecheck, but they're not as intense on the forecheck as is Canada. Now Parent steals it away. Parent looks to Olivier Swatsky. Oh, that shot just wide. He's looking for his first goal in a Team America uniform, or Team USA uniform. Huther through center. Here's Chambers wants the shot. Deflected down by Tan. He grabs the rebound, thought about the pass forward to Parent, but Canada came across to cut it down. Here's Olivier Swatsky. Looking to the far side to Samala, knocked away by Canada. Bordage's shot blocked down by Engel. Maureen Engel has played a good physical game. He's probably got 10 blocked shots by my very, very unofficial count. Samala takes a bouncing ball into the Canadian defensive end, but loses it eventually to Badaini, waved at by Parent, but is able to muscle his pass through to Huther. Huther one-on-one against Adrian Swatsky. The pass just in front of Badaini, but he is able to beat the American player to the ball. Now Badaini's shot, another block for Maureen Engel. He has been so good positionally, the Swiss hockey player, and the Americans have spotted the ball and then went to go for a change, so this will be Team Canada possession. It's about the 4th or 5th time that's happened this weekend, and maybe a little nervousness, maybe a little inexperience on the part of each team, because it's happened to both teams. But you can't spot the ball and go for a change. Once you spot the ball, you've got about 3 seconds to put it in at the official's discretion. That time the Americans spotted the ball, everyone went for a change, and the official whistled it back to Canada. Now here's Owen Dummeldinger. Dummeldinger trying to pull it back to the forehand, lost it. Now Addington gets it right back. Addington looking underneath. Addington fires a shot, and that's off the shoulder of Walker. A great save. Somehow Dummeldinger lost his stick in the slot area. He went back to get it as Conrad Grum battling one-on-one with Ty Shreve on the near boards. Shreve plays it in for Team Canada. Ferry inserts it into the Canadian zone. Grum doing good work along the boards. Here's Addington. Addington looks out in front, spins with it. Addington fires a shot, and Walker's there to swallow it up. 8-6, the Canadian lead, but the Americans knocking on the door to get back in this, and now Ferry in alone on a break, and Walker stones him. Ferry got in a little bit too deep for him to make too much of a move against the big keeper Walker. Now McDonald to answer and counter for the Canadians, but Bertrand angles him off the ball. Plays it to his partner Tribomb. Along the near boards to Ferry. Ferry pushed by Ty Shreve. The Canadians will give up the free hit to the U.S. The U.S. will make a change. They'll bring their first line out. Tribomb spots it, looks, puts a shot towards the cage, and it's in! I don't think Stone touched it. That'll be Max Tribomb's goal. And if I'm not mistaken, that is his first international goal in a USA uniform. It's 8-7 on a somewhat broken play. Tribomb wanted to pass it off of the free hit, but then the seas parted and he just shoveled it towards the net. Stone was on the doorstep. Tribomb might have been shooting for a rebound, but it wasn't a very hard shot, and I think Stone's stick being in the vicinity possibly distracted Chris Walker, the netminder for the Canadians. It's now a one-goal affair, 8-7. Canada leading by just one after leading by as many as 3. Canada will control off of the faceoff. Speidel plays it forward. Bertrand got a little handsy on Kelde. The Canadians want to take the free hit quickly. Kelde down the far boards. This will be a 2-minute penalty against Bertrand as he got in hard on the stick of Kelday, and the official has his arm in the air. The Canadians will bring on the extra attacker with the delayed penalty call coming up. Huthert. Here's Wolf. Touching it to the far side. Wolf gets it back from Svoboda. Plays forward to Kelday. His pass well into the Canadian half. He wasn't happy with that particular pass on his part, but Svoboda had time to regroup. Svoboda has his pass knocked away by Stone, and Chen touches up. So a big penalty kill for the United States with 4:26 remaining in the third period. Matthew Bertrand will sit for an illegal hit on the stick of a Canadian player. Badaini will trigger it in. The Canadians will have one more chance to work on their power play unit, which has been operating at a clip over 50% in this series. Chambers to McQueen, back to Chambers, up top. Badaini exchanges with Huthert. Badaini across to Chambers, that shot blocked down by Engel. Badaini, Huthert, McQueen shot, and another blocked by Maureen Engel. And if you ask me, now granted, I'm a goalkeeper, but I think Maureen Engel would have my vote for player of the game. The way he has played defensively and the way he has given up his body. Parent going through multiple Canadians. Back to Engel it goes. Engel seeking to get it to Tribomb, banks it off a Canadian leg and out. So the Americans will have the free hit. 1:16 remaining, and the penalty to Matthew Bertrand. Parent pitches it high and down the boards. Badaini back to regroup for Team Canada. Holds. Badaini to Huthert. Now near corner, Bordage to Huthert. Halfway through this power play, Badaini to Huthert. Huthert to Bordage. Bordage, Badaini. Huthert, Badaini. Shot through traffic, well wide of the cage. Bordage collects. McQueen. Huthert shot through traffic, and that makes it through to Tan. Tan knocks it down, is able to grab the rebound and play it back towards the end boards to Engel. Now here's Tribomb, just trying to dwindle time down by himself in the corner, loses it. The Canadians regroup. Badaini shot blocked by Gavin Stone, another one of the Austinites on this team. Parent, the steal, and it's knocked out by the Canadians. 14 seconds remaining on the penalty, with 2:40 remaining in the third period. The Americans trail by one. They'll try to kill the remainder of the penalty and then go on offense, or try to go on offense. Tan makes the save. It's off of the body of Engel and in, and Tan immediately says, hey, that's no problem, my friend. So Bordage will get credit for the goal. Tan made an excellent save on the initial turnover, closed up his 5-hole quickly. That's just a bad luck bounce if you're the Americans. I think that goal was scored while Bertrand was still in the box, and Ollie Parent will come over and call a timeout with the official. 2:30 remaining in the third period. Such bad luck for Maureen Engel. He has blocked so many shots, has deflected so many centering passes for the Americans, and you have to feel for him. He hung his head immediately after that ball bounced into the net. Just nothing he could do. No reaction time quick enough from that rebound from Tan on an initial very good save. And of course, you have to credit Bordage for being in the right position. If they do credit him with the goal, that would be his 5th of this qualifier in 3 games. 2 goals in each of the first 2 contests. Canada now leading 9-7. Face off at center. Bainheim, Adrian Savatsky, and Eric Chen for the U.S. team. Parent back in a defensive position, although that's because they're going to pull the netminder and go 6-on-5. Parent able to wiggle past a defender. Now it's given up. Tan makes a nice kick with his leg on the attempt from Kelde. And now this shot whistles high and wide. Tan, good active feet. He's asking, do you want to take me out now with an offensive zone, or pardon me, a defensive end free hit? He's communicating with the bench. They won't bring him out just yet. Parent spins. Spainheim through center. Tan looking to come and run. He'll take it off to the bench. And now Parent comes in on the feed from Adrian Swatsky. Parent underneath. Engel's the extra attacker. They put him in front of the net. Adrian Swatsky looking for Chen. One-timer off a Canadian stick and wide. Engel fighting along the boards against Svoboda. Bainheim cuts off that attempted clear and settling it for the U.S.'s try-ball. 90 seconds remaining in regulation in this one. 2-goal deficit for the Americans. Bainheim shot knocked down by an American stick in front. Tribomb comes back to get it. Off the boards. Through center. Oh, an attempted tip by Wolf. Just goes wide of the net. Wolf wanted the wraparound. Won't be able to get out in front for it. Kelde on the far side. No goalie in the cage right now. Tribomb, a beautiful block and the shot on target. And an illegal play by the Canadians. A hit of the stick. And with 1 minute remaining in the third period, the Americans will once again pull Harrison Tan for the extra attacker. You do see that offense-defense situation for teams that are down in floorball. They run the goalie on and off of the bench quite a bit in these circumstances. And that ball stolen away by Wolf. Fed it forward to Kelde, who scores yet another goal. And this game now out of reach. Canada 10, USA 7. Good fight for the Americans, though. It would be so easy to have hung your head after being down 2-0 in a 3-game series. But the U.S. fought hard, tooth and nail throughout the course of this game. Each line able to contribute. In particular, the Parent Swatsky line seemed to have very good chemistry, accounting for 4 total goals in this game. Check that, 5 total goals in this game. Third line had the other 2. Olivier Swatsky catches this aerial ball. Adrian Swatsky playing it forward to Ollie Parent. Ollie Parent inside, looking for Olivier Swatsky. Behind the back, looking for Engel inside. And just put that wide of the net. Here's Olivier Swatsky. Engel trying to body up his man. That's Badaini, who shields the ball away from Parent. Parent takes the ball from him. Parent to Olivier Swatsky. That's shot off of the keeper, Walker. McDonald looking to score on the empty net. That's knocked aside by Tribomb. Engel comes back, plays it forward. The Svatskys trying to clear the zone. And Adrian Swatsky looking forward to Parent at the buzzer. They will be unable to get a final shot. And Canada has swept the United States of America 10-7. This has been a competitive series, particularly Game 1 and Game 3. Game 2 got out of hand for the Americans towards the end. But again, the United States of America fighting hard all the way to the buzzer in both games. Credit to Adrian Swatsky and Oliver Parent, who put the U.S. in position to chip back in this one. Nunu Addington got the first goal for the Americans. The third line also able to score the a goal that put the U.S. up at one point in the second period. The Americans led by as many as 2 before Canada scored 5 unanswered, and that proved to be too much for the U.S. to overcome. Thank you to everyone on our wonderful broadcast crew. For them, I'm Trent Kling saying so long until next time. You've been watching the Men's U19 World Floorball Championships America's Qualifier live from USG Arena in Chicago.